All right, the deck has been reshuffled, ready to talk about the worst 7 films in 2023, again, according to Dominic and I. So you want me to start again this time?
Sure. Yes.
All
Please.
right, all right, coming back. All right, so um, this one I'm surprised, but again, as everybody knows, the way I kind of sorted my list here, another guy that I kind of watch a lot of, in with the Nicolas Cage, that the Bruce Willis kind of manner, is Frank Grillo. Seen him in a lot of different things, so when I see him pop up in a movie, I'm gonna check it out. And the number 7 worst film happens to have him in it, and it's called Black Lotus. And it's one of those ex special forces kind of guy who has to go in and rescue somebody, and your normal time of action film. Other than that, I really forget a lot about it, and that's what's going to happen in this bottom 7. I'm not going to have as much detail because they left my mind, and but I had him ranked really really low according to Letterboxd. It had Frank Grillo in it, but it was one of the worst 7 films I watched in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see that particular film. It seems like it might have been like a red box film or a straight to whatever type of film, but I don't love him as much as Bruce Willis and Nick Cage and Sylvester Stallone. But Frank Grillo is maybe like a notch or two below those guys, and he's pretty cool. It's too bad because he's. Although I have seen him in some schlocky films lately, so maybe he's just going the way of Bruce Willis and those guys to make a few bucks. But Frank Grillo himself is pretty cool, I'd have to say. So worst films of 2023. I'm about to say something controversial because I believe this was the highest grossing film of 2023. I kind of hated Barbie movie. I kind of hated it. I mean, there were some pockets of sunshine. At the end, I cried a little bit. Yeah, the Ken song was cool and a couple of other things, but it just had such a malicious undertone about men, and it just had this kind of disgusting feeling about it. Like I felt ashamed to be a man. I'm like, is this how women really look at us at the end of it? It just had this, I'm not really a political guy, but it just had such an agenda, and it ended on such a dumb joke, and it just kind of made me feel sad on the inside somehow. It was just, I just didn't like it. And I'm not the only person who said this. A lot of people have come out and said this. I just didn't like it. And it was just, how come you could have made just a basic film like a Toy Story, something to make everyone feel good, not something to make men feel bad and women feel good? Maybe this is why people stop dating, because they've seen this type of stuff. They've seen this type of stuff. So Bobby, no Bobby.
That's good. It's great. It's funny. I never actually, well, I've seen it. So I watched it one night with my wife and my daughter, but watched it in bed and fell asleep in and out of it. But I was picking up the same things that you were picking up. So I never actually watched a whole movie, being awake and filmed a movie review and rated it. But I was picking up what you were saying. So that might have made my bottom 7 as well, but never officially watched it. So I'll have to now. Maybe not. Maybe not. That's probably a bad idea, right? All right. On to number 6 for me. So, yeah, and it's funny. Again, I'm going to talk about actors who I like, that I'll watch things on. So I like Josh Duhamel. I don't know how you say his name. Duhamel, so I like him a lot. I also like Kevin Dillon. So if you ever seen the TV show Entourage, he plays drama. I like him a lot, so I'll watch some of the things. But the number 6 worst film that I saw in 2023, again according to my rankings here, is Buddy Games Spring Awakening. So it's the sequel to Buddy Games, which has a very cool concept that these group of friends get together and they have these big challenges. I didn't think Buddy Games was awesome, but there's something there that I think you could build off of. So I was really hoping for a lot, that they corrected a lot of stuff in Buddy Games and made Spring Awakening. But one of their friends dies and they come back to it all again to have one last challenge, and it just didn't hit me. It was more silly than it was what I wanted. Didn't get a lot of laughs out of it, and was ultimately disappointed in Buddy Games Spring Awakening.
Jeff, I think you might be the only one who's actually seen Buddy Games Spring Awakening. I remember when you did the review, I listened to it and I was kind of laughing to myself. I'm like, he's so passionate about the fact that he didn't really care for this film. But I'm thinking, I don't really think anyone else even knows that this franchise exists. It made me. Your review was probably funnier than the actual film.
Good. All
Well,
right.
that's very good stuff. All right, I don't really remember. I think you liked this movie. I thought it was okay at least. I don't remember what your review was per se. But my number six was No Hard Feelings with Jennifer Lawrence. And again, I mean, who doesn't, we all love Jennifer Lawrence, and who could say they don't like looking at her, but the film wasn't funny. They made the male character that was her counterpart like such a doofus, and she was such a conniver and a schemer in the movie, and I just didn't like it. It's again, it made me feel a little dirty watching it, and I'm not, whatever, super duper wholesome guy, but it just, I don't know, it just had this kind of like malicious undertone also. And I don't really usually dicker over the details of something like this, but Jennifer Lawrence got paid like $20 million to be in that, and it kind of stunk. I mean, this is what you want to do for all this money, some ranchy comedy that was maybe big like 25 years ago when people watched that type of stuff. I'm like, I just didn't like it. I watched it once, I wouldn't watch it again. No
Yeah.
hard feelings with Jennifer. We all love Jennifer Lawrence, we all do. But this
Mhm.
particular movie just stunk.
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely forgettable. It could have been better, hoping for a lot more when you see her in it, but I agree. I mean, it didn't make my bottom seven, but it obviously was not in the top for
Yeah.
sure. Awesome. All right. So that was your six. So I'm on my five, right?
Yes.
So my number five is based, I think, on a true story. And again, somebody I like, Mark Hamill, was actually in this movie, and it's not Star Wars. The movie was called The Machine, and it's the Bert Kirchner, based on his true life story. He's some comedian that's has risen to fame here recently, I believe, with podcasting, and I'm sure he does stand up and stuff like that. But it was his story, about everything that he went through. He was part of the Russian mob, and and I think that's some of that is true, but the way they depicted it was like silly. So now it's like, is it true, or is it, and it was just over the top ridiculousness. That just didn't tickle my funny bone that I was hoping for. So I watched it hoping for more, and it just didn't do it for me. Maybe I wasn't in the mood for that type of humor, but I just didn't enjoy it that much. I enjoy him. I've heard some things that he says, and I found some stuff so I thought I'd enjoy the film. I didn't. It was just too ridiculous and silly for my taste.
I didn't see that, but like we said, sometimes there'll be an actor that you love in a movie, but the movie just it doesn't work out or it doesn't come together. So this is yet another one of those instances.
Yeah.
It's the worst films of 2023. This is gonna, I didn't really want to say this when you did the best films, but you'll realize why I'm saying this now. Number five was The Flash. I did not like The Flash, and I'm a DC guy like you. I'm a DC guy. I love Superman. I love Batman. I love Wonder Woman. I love The Flash, Aquaman. And I was kind of hoping against hope that this would. I know the Snyderverse was kind of coming to an end at this point, but I was hoping against hope that this would be this incredible movie that would, say no, 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 maybe keep the Snyderverse. But I just didn't like it. I just didn't feel that I love Michael Keaton, but I feel that it just didn't work out. It was just executed in a way that was kind of weird. The Supergirl character, I mean, I like the actress, but I just didn't like. When I think of Superman and Supergirl, I think of a beacon of hope. I mean, she was kind of the opposite of that. And the end. Well, I will say this: credit what credit's due. I don't. Well, you said it was one of your favorites of 23, so you'll remember the scene when he was at the supermarket with the mother at the very end, towards the very end. Yes, that was a good scene. Yes, it was very touching for sure. So that one scene was good. And plus the whole thing with Ezra Miller kind of put a weird kind of stigma against the movie. And it's too bad because I love The Flash. I love all those. Maybe it was more like disappointment than
Mhm.
than like it was horrible. It was just and it was kind of long. I wouldn't watch it again. It wasn't for me. I'm glad you liked it. I mean, I like it when people love media, but for me, it didn't work out well.
Yeah, I think you would probably be in the majority on that. I think I'm in the minority just because of my infatuation with the Justice League and stuff like that. So yeah, I think most people didn't like the Flash, and that's part of the reason they're doing away with, the Snyderverse and this current version of, the Justice League.
Yeah.
So good. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Here's one that I don't know how many people are going to be, if I'm going to be in the majority of this one. Again, we're talking about one of the probably, I don't know, greatest actors, comedic actors of all time, one of the nicest guys from what I understand, Adam Sandler, with his whole family in it, Jackie and Sadie and Sonny, they're all in this movie. And then Ida Menzel is also in it. The movie that I just didn't like so much was You Are Not So Invited to My Bar Mitzvah. I don't know what it was. I don't think I like the daughter. I didn't like her character and how self-centered she was. This ties back into the emotion you feel when you watch a film. Film could have been greatly made, but and Adam Sandler was more of an afterthought throughout the movie. He was in there, he was more of a cameo, and I know he wrote the whole thing and it was all his vision. But for me, I just didn't enjoy it. I expected more out of it. I'm a big Adam Sandler fan. Obviously, I'll watch anything he's in or he's involved in. But this one just didn't hit for me. So ended up in the bottom 7.
Yeah, I remember your review. I mean, to be honest with you, I did not watch that. And it's not like I was really planning on watching that. But I remember in your review, you didn't really like it that much. And that kind of put it over the edge where I'm like, I'm definitely not going to watch this. I mean, it probably wasn't anyway. But my takeaway from a lot of other people about that movie is like, those people in the movie, Adam Sandler is very wealthy, but in the movie, those characters were pretty wealthy, from what I understand. It's like you're complaining about the most trifle thing. I mean, you're like the one percenters. The ordinary Joes like really want to watch this, maybe not so much.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's one of why I stayed away from it. But so the worst films of 2023, my number 4. I watched this on, I think, Amazon Prime. I don't really remember what you thought of this, but I didn't like the movie about my father at all. With Sebastian Maniscalco. I mean, you know who that is, the comedian. Now, I
Yeah.
like Sebastian himself. I think Sebastian's awesome, but it was kind of taking his stand-up routine and trying to make it into like a full movie. And for me, it really wasn't that funny. Robert De Niro, it was like a really, really poor man's Meet the Parents. I mean, Meet the
Okay.
Parents was so many years ago, but it was like that, but it just didn't really work out. I didn't find it funny. Again, in that, you might be sensing a theme, but the family was like super rich, and he just magically got this great job. They were running around on yachts. They were like these millionaires, and oh, are they gonna like my father? I mean, come on, man. We have real problems in this world. And I just think that his comedy did not translate to film. But I do, it's like another one of those instances. I like Sebastian, I just like Sebastian himself, but the film, not so much.
Mhm.
About my father, skip it.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen it, to be honest with you. I have to check back. I don't think I have seen that. So I'll have to
Don't see
I have to look it up. I won't watch it though. I'll skip it.
it.
All right. Where am I at? Am I at 3 or 2? I have to check quick.
I'm on, I think you might be on, I don't know. I mean, I'm on 3.
Okay, so then I'll be on 2. Or you're going on 3, or that was your third?
That was next is my number 3.
Next is your number 3. So this should be my number 3. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So number 3 worst film. Funny that we mentioned this guy a little bit ago, because he was in the movie review we just did. Michael Cera was in this movie. The only name I recognize, but this movie was called The Adults. And it was very dry and boring. And essentially what happens is Michael Cera's character comes back home, and reuniting with his sister, but he's trying to break away and play poker, too much. And he's kind of avoiding the family life and being an adult and everything like that. And I think, it's very dry, very boring. You're waiting and waiting and waiting, and you're feeling uncomfortable about what's going on. And you're just hoping that there's some redemption at the end of this movie that's going to say, oh, I'm glad I watched this. And you don't get it. You don't get it. You just get angry and you walk away. So really, that was one of the worst movies I saw this past year. So boring. And that's one you can skip, even though Michael Cera's in it. And I like him from time to time, just not in that one.
I did not see that movie, but I remember in your review for the movie, I got the impression you had high hopes going in. Like you wanted the plot, like you kind of seemed like you liked that sort of, younger life crisis kind of, not really teen, but like young adult angst. It could have been interesting, but I got the impression your hopes were high, but your hopes were quickly squashed when you saw the actual movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely skipped that. So I believe I'm on my number 3 worst films of 2023. Somebody I Used to Know, directed by Dave Franco and starring Alison Brie. And she also was a screenplay credit for that. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really like Alison Brie that much. Something about her just seems very ungenuine. She seems kind of like she can't even relate to the average person. Her character in the movie was unlikable, trying to break up the romance. I was not on her character's side at all. She just seemed like kind of a despicable person, running around. I mean, whatever. It's a second instance where she ran around naked on a golf course, and I'm a straight man. I'm supposed to like that, but it was done in such poor taste. And in no hard feelings, they did it, but it was done in such a poor and kind of almost disgusting taste. I didn't like it, and I just didn't like the movie at all. I was actually watching it while eating at home, and I'm like, this kind of stinks. I want to watch something else, but I reluctantly saw her through till the end. Someone I used to know with Alison Brie, nah, skip it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that about Alison Brie. I don't know how I feel about her either. I'm not, definitely not sold on her and whether I like her or not. She was just in another movie I watched, but it's just like I don't know. I'm not full in on her either.
She just comes across, and if she met a fan or an ordinary Joe on the street, she would just scoff at them, get the heck out of here, sort of thing. Not,
Yeah,
the likable factor, the everyday person factor. I mean, that's what you're supposed to have when you're super rich and famous, or try to have, but yeah, not so much.
all right. So number 2 worst film for me in 2023. This doesn't have anybody I knew in it. I recognize the one guy. I think his name's Matt Servito or something like that. I recognize his face, but I couldn't place him anywhere else. This movie is called The Jester. I had it on my, I find movies for the time of the year, so around Halloween, you want to put some of those kind of scary movies on. And this one was there, and I fell into the trap, like a lot of us do, of seeing a little bit of the trailer or a little glimpse of it. A lot of stuff comes through me on TikTok, and I try not to watch it because I don't like to watch trailers. I want to be surprised by everything. But there was a scene that kept showing up on TikTok that, it has the Jester's face on it. And, he was moving around, whatever. And I was like, this seems like it could be good. Even though the reviews say it's not good. I'm like, well, I got to watch it because I don't always agree with that. So I watched this movie really hoping, and it just didn't work for me. It wasn't what I hoped for. The one part that I saw on TikTok was the best part of the movie. The rest of it was just bad. They had a good villain costume, I'll say. Other than that, it wasn't worth watching.
Yeah, I remember when you did your review, I said you really didn't care for this one. I said this sounds like something I would probably like a stupid horror movie. And I said to myself, I'm not gonna pay for it, but if it ever comes to whatever for free, I'll give it a watch. Even though he didn't like it, it's probably stupid, but maybe I'll watch it anyway.
You
Just
might like it, yeah.
like a stupid night, stupid movie. All right, so my number 2 worst film of 2023. This is a new movie. I was barely able to get through this. It was on Peacock pretty recently, actually. It was called Genie with Melissa McCarthy, and it starred another this guy whose name I can't pronounce. Papa is his first name, Papara, and he was just so dry. She was a genie, and he was, for the holidays and stuff, and the jokes just didn't hit, and it was just boring, and I don't know. Just I was hoping for a great new Christmas movie, and I got a piece of coal instead. So yeah, Genie on Peacock wasn't very good.
I don't think I've seen that one. I'll definitely skip it for sure. All
So
right.
now your number 1 worst movie of 2023.
Here you go. So now this is close because it could have been Jester, but it ends up on my list right here. Now these are movies that are made in 2023 because other ones I've seen in 2023 are higher or lower on my list, I guess. But we won't talk about that. This one was called No One Will Save You. So it's about
Anyway,
this girl who lives at home by herself, for a particular reason that makes you feel awful when you figure it out, right? But she has anxiety. So in the beginning of this movie, you feel for her. She's trying to reinsert herself into people's lives in society, and she's being rejected, and you don't know why, right? And then this alien comes into her home, and just all crazy stuff starts happening. And then she's battling aliens, and these aliens are changing shapes, it's or not even changing shapes. They're all different shapes inside. There's spiders or regular looking aliens, if you will, all different kinds of things. Are ridiculous the way that they depict aliens in this, and she's fighting them all. And then you find out why she has anxiety and why she lives home alone, and it just ruins everything. It's like, I felt for this girl, and now I don't anymore, and it's just, and it comes full circle, and it's one of, again, playing on your emotions, that kind of ruined the film. And I said maybe this and Jester are right there. I do now, as I spoke through it. I think this is probably the worst film I saw in 2023, just for the way it made you feel at the end.
Yeah, I can't be honest with you. I kind of watched like the first 45 minutes of that, and I'm like, this isn't for me. It's like kind of a poor man's Signs. It's no talking throughout the whole movie. It's like we're trying to be like Signs. We're trying to be like, don't say whatever that other movie is, but they don't speak. John Curtis movie that I can't think of, name escapes me at the moment.
Quiet Place.
But I'm like this. Yeah, Quiet Place. I'm like this. Just I don't care for this. And I didn't care for a Quiet Place either. But I'm like, and I like the star of the movie. Caitlin Denver, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
She's very awesome. And I'm like, well, the movie kind of stinks. I'm not gonna watch it. So I guess that brings me to my dishonorable mention, my number one worst film of 2023. I think you watched this. The name of the movie was called Fear. Joseph Skykora or something like that. It was, they were staying in a cabin, fighting their worst fears, and I just didn't like it. I could barely get through it. Name of the movie was Fear. I just didn't care for it at all. I could barely get through it. I mean, I managed to get across the finish line, but Fear was definitely not for me. It was just another lousy one in 2023. I believe you saw that.
I think I saw that. I was trying to see if I saw it in my list here, but it doesn't ring a bell, so it must not have been memorable for me. So I have to agree. But and considering was it a horror movie, scary movie, or
it was supposed to be a horror movie / like psychological thriller.
Okay.
I think it came out towards the beginning of the year. I don't remember exactly, but I just didn't care for it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's for you being a big horror fan and having that one as your number one worst movie of 2023 says something.
It stunk, yeah.
I don't know if you remember, Mark Wahlberg made a movie way back. I think it was in the 90s, maybe.
The Happening.
What's that?
The name of the movie was The Happening, like a horror movie.
Well, yeah, but he made a movie called Fear as well. He was in a movie.
I remember.
Yeah.
That was a little. Well, I guess that was supposed to be a horror movie. With Renee Witherspoon, a young Renee Witherspoon.
Yep.
Very young. Yeah.
So that's funny. All right. Well, there you go. We got your 14. We got your 14 best movies in 2023, and now your 14 worst movies in 2023. Love to hear everybody's comments. What did you think about what we selected? I don't think we didn't have any similarities. The only similarity was Flash was on my top and on your bottom. So that was it. So a lot of perspective there for everybody to chew on. So anything else to end with, or
I just want to say thank you to Jeff Kimmel and Kimmel's Irish Pub. I think that you did a great job this year. I want you to crack 1,000 subscribers, maybe 1 million subscribers, but start with 1,000. I really do find, I like Jeff's style of just sitting there in his chair in the basement, the Kimmel's Irish Pub, and just kind of like off the cuff reviewing. You don't have to, do all this. We probably did some homework for this, but he just sits there and gives his honest opinions, and then gives a thumbs up, and that's it. Then the review just goes up. I wish more people would watch Kimmel's Irish Pub.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I wish more people would too, but either way, I'm going to keep doing it. I just enjoy doing it. But I'll throw that out to everybody who saw this, either, the top 5 or, top 7 best, top 7 worst. Let us know in your comments. Do you like this kind of stuff? Should we continue to do it? I mean, we could come up with all different kinds of ideas, rating movies, top Christmas movies was an idea we had, and top movies made in January, whatever. We can do it every month, so let us know your thoughts in the comments. Love to hear it.
I kept going on Kimmel's Irish Pub. I thought you would dress up like Santa Claus or an elf or something, and there'd be Christmas decorations behind you.
I know. I did that more in the beginning. I used to dress up a lot, but I stopped recently. Maybe I'll have to get back into it. So, all right. Well, that's it. That'll conclude this version of Kimmel's Irish Pub, our top 7 best and worst movies of 2023. Dominic, thank you for joining me today. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it and got a little something out of it. That's it. Thanks for tuning in. Kimmel's Irish Pub.
Thank you.